Welcome, the rare gems. The ones who don't fit into the world weren't meant to. They were born to change it. If you've ever felt like you don't fit the mold, like your mind works in ways others don't understand, you're not alone. The Sigma female is a prime example of someone who embraces her neurodivergent traits and turns them into her superpower. The Sigma female is not just different, she's extraordinary. In a world that thrives on conformity, her mind operates on a unique wavelength, one that refuses to be bound by rules or expectations. She doesn't follow the crowd, not because she's stubborn, but because her brain is wired to see beyond the surface. Her independence, intuition, and relentless pursuit of truth set her apart in ways most people can't comprehend. But this isn't always easy. Being misunderstood, feeling out of place, or constantly overthinking can feel isolating. What if those traits you see as flaws are actually your superpowers? What if your ability to question, analyze, and connect deeply with the world is the very thing that makes you unstoppable? This video uncovers why you're neurodivergent and why that's your greatest strength. It's time to embrace the woman you are and realize you're not just different, you're exceptional. Let's dive in. Dear Rare Gems, keep this in mind. Being different isn't a flaw, it's a strength. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Sigma. Females often feel alien in a world obsessed with labels. A Sigma female often feels like an outsider in a world that craves labels and rigid categories. Society thrives on defining people by their job titles, relationship statuses, or personality types, but none of these boxes seem to fit her. While others might find comfort in being categorized, she finds it suffocating. For her, labels feel like walls, and her neurodivergent mind was never meant to be confined. She's frustrated by the oversimplification of human complexity. Labels often strip away individuality, reducing people to stereotypes or roles that fail to capture their full essence. This is especially true for her, as her thoughts, emotions, and actions rarely conform to societal norms. The world expects her to act one way, think one way, and live one way, but she doesn't. She operates on her own terms, guided by an inner compass that defies conventional direction. Because of this, she rejects the idea of being this or that. She doesn't feel the need to explain herself or fit into anyone's expectations. Whether it's being misunderstood for her independence or judged for her unconventional choices, she's learned to embrace her own fluidity. She isn't here to be easily understood. She's here to be authentic, no matter how complex or contradictory that might appear to others. The truth is, she doesn't belong in any one category because she was never meant to. Instead, she thrives in the freedom of her uncharted space, carving out her own path where she defines the terms. While the world obsesses over labels, she proves that life is far richer when you exist beyond them. Her refusal to be boxed in isn't just rebellion, it's her declaration of self-sovereignty. Number 2. Her emotions are intense and layered. For a Sigma female, emotions are never simple. They are rich, intense, and multi-layered. She doesn't just feel happiness or sadness. She experiences a spectrum of emotions that go deeper than most people can comprehend. A simple moment might spark an avalanche of feelings, and a single interaction can resonate with her for hours, days, or even longer. Her neurodivergent mind processes emotions at full volume, making her feel everything, both joy and pain, with a depth that others often find overwhelming. This emotional intensity is frequently misunderstood. Society labels her as too sensitive or too much, as if her ability to feel deeply is a flaw. But her emotions aren't a weakness, they're a testament to how vividly she connects with the world. She feels the beauty, the pain, and the complexity of life in ways that few others do. When she loves, it's with her whole soul. When she's hurt, it cuts to her core. And when she's passionate about something, her fire is unmatched. Her layered emotions also give her a unique ability to empathize with others. She doesn't just understand what someone else is feeling, she feels it with them. This makes her an incredible source of support and connection, though it also means she absorbs the emotional weight of others, sometimes to her own detriment. The world often demands emotional moderation, but she refuses to dull her feelings to fit in. Her intensity is part of what makes her extraordinary. Yes, it can be overwhelming, but it's also what makes her creative, intuitive, and deeply human. She doesn't apologize for feeling too much because to her, it's proof that she's fully alive in a world that often feels numb. Her emotions aren't a burden. They're her superpower. Number 3. She can't unsee injustice, even when it hurts her. A Sigma female's sense of justice isn't just a personality trait, it's a core part of who she is. She sees the world for what it truly is, raw and unfiltered, and her sharp mind can instantly identify when something is out of balance. Injustice, no matter how small or socially accepted, strikes a nerve deep within her. Unlike most people who look the other way to avoid conflict or protect their comfort, she can't unsee it. Once she recognizes unfairness, it clings to her, demanding action. Her heightened morality doesn't allow her to stay silent, even when speaking out comes with consequences. She knows standing up against wrongs can cost her relationships, opportunities, or even peace of mind, but she does it anyway. For her, doing nothing would feel like complicity, while others rationalize corruption or unfair treatment with excuses like, "That's just how it is." She refuses to normalize it. Her values are non-negotiable, and she's willing to stand alone if that's what it takes to stay true to them. This unwavering commitment to justice isn't easy. It often leaves her feeling isolated, misunderstood, or labeled as difficult. But she doesn't do it for approval. She does it because her conscience won't let her rest otherwise. Deep down, she believes the truth matters, even when it's inconvenient or painful. What sets her apart is her courage to challenge systems and individuals who thrive on silence. Her bravery isn't loud or attention-seeking. It's purposeful, driven by an inner compass that always points to what's right. And while this path may be lonely, she knows it's the only one she can walk with integrity. Number 4. She's wired to break generational curses. A Sigma female doesn't just live differently, she thinks differently, and this sets her apart as a force for transformation. Her neurodivergent mind refuses to blindly follow traditions, customs, or beliefs that have been handed down without question. She sees patterns where others see routines, and if those patterns are toxic, oppressive, or outdated, she doesn't hesitate to dismantle them. She's not rebellious for the sake of it. Her defiance is deliberate. She knows that many of the struggles she faces aren't hers alone. They're the echoes of generational pain, dysfunction, or limiting beliefs passed down through her lineage. Instead of accepting these as her inheritance, she chooses to rewrite the narrative. Her mind is wired to ask, why? And more importantly, why not something better? This isn't easy. Breaking generational curses means confronting deeply ingrained family dynamics, challenging authority figures, and often standing alone against resistance. She faces criticism, guilt, and the weight of expectations, but her resolve doesn't falter. She understands that her willingness to confront these cycles isn't just about her. It's about creating a healthier, freer legacy for future generations. What makes her so effective is her ability to see what others ignore or tolerate. Her neurodivergent perspective allows her to approach problems in unconventional ways, uncovering solutions that others can't even imagine. She's not just breaking the mold, she's building a completely new one. The Sigma female doesn't just survive in the face of generational toxicity, she disrupts it. Her courage to question, her strength to resist, and her vision to rebuild make her a trailblazer. She's not simply different, she's transformational, ensuring that those who come after her inherit freedom instead of chains. Number 5. Her obsessions aren't quirky, they're lifelines. For a Sigma female, her obsessions aren't just hobbies or passing interests, they are lifelines. When she fixates on a subject, it's not out of boredom or a desire to seem quirky. It's her mind's way of finding structure and meaning in a world that often feels chaotic. These deep dives aren't about seeking attention or indulging in fleeting distractions. They are her method of processing, understanding, and coping. Her neurodivergent brain seeks patterns, connections, and depth. When she becomes absorbed in a particular topic, it's because that subject provides clarity in the midst of confusion. It's how she makes sense of the noise around her, how she anchors herself in a world that often lacks the answers she craves. Whether it's a book, a subject, or a particular project, Her focus is intense and all-encompassing. This isn't a choice, it's a necessity. These obsessions are often misunderstood by others as eccentric or unusual, but to her, they are essential. They give her direction when everything else seems aimless. They help her navigate her emotions, her thoughts, and even the complexities of human interactions. When she's immersed in something she loves, the world slows down, and her mind can finally find peace in the details. The intensity with which she becomes engrossed in a topic may seem over the top to outsiders, but it's how she functions at her best. Her obsessions aren't escapes. They are the fuel that powers her understanding, growth, and ability to thrive. Far from being cute or eccentric, they are her way of making the world make sense, of carving a path through the noise, and of finding purpose where others see only distraction. A heartfelt thank you to you, Rare Gems, for being a cherished part of this community. Your encouragement and support inspire me to keep producing content that matters. I deeply appreciate you. Number 6. She sees systems, not rules. A Sigma. Female doesn't take rules at face value. Her mind doesn't stop at, "this is how it's done." Instead, she instinctively deconstructs the entire system behind the rule. She wants to know who made it, why it exists, and whether it actually makes sense. To her, rules are just the surface layer of something deeper, a framework built by human decisions, biases, and agendas. And if that framework is flawed, outdated, or unfair, she's the first to question it. This ability to see the bigger picture makes her both a disruptor and an innovator. While others blindly follow procedures, she analyzes the underlying mechanics and asks, how can this be done better? Her brain is wired to notice inefficiencies, hypocrisies, and cracks in the foundation of any system. Whether it's a workplace hierarchy, societal norm, or family tradition, she doesn't just follow along, she rethinks the entire structure. This makes her a challenge to authority figures who rely on unquestioning obedience. They see her as rebellious or difficult, but what they don't understand is that her resistance isn't random, it's calculated. She questions not to create chaos, but to find better, more equitable solutions. And because she thinks in systems rather than rules, her solutions often transcend what anyone else could imagine. Her perspective is her power. It allows her to break free from conformity and push boundaries in ways most people can't. She's not interested in playing by the rules, she's here to rewrite them, creating systems that serve everyone more effectively. This mindset doesn't just set her apart, it makes her a trailblazer capable of reshaping the world around her. Number 7. She thrives in contradictions. A Sigma. Female thrives in the spaces where contradictions collide. She is a walking paradox, embodying qualities that seem incompatible yet coexist seamlessly within her. She can be deeply empathetic, understanding the emotions of others with incredible precision, yet remain emotionally detached when necessary. Her ability to care doesn't mean she lets feelings cloud her judgment. If a situation requires clarity and decisiveness, she can pull herself away from the noise and act with cold, analytical precision. Her duality extends further. She's analytical, capable of breaking down complex problems with logic and reason, yet her intuition is razor-sharp. While others rely on one or the other, she moves effortlessly between both, blending intellect and instinct in a way that leaves people bewildered. She can dissect a situation down to its smallest components, but also sense truths that can't be explained by logic alone. This fluidity confuses people who want to put her in a box. They expect consistency, predictability, but she defies it. One moment, she's fiercely independent. The next, she's a source of unwavering support. She can be quiet and reflective, yet command a room when the moment calls for it. It's not that she's indecisive or inconsistent, it's that her mind exists in shades of gray where others see only black and white. Her ability to navigate these contradictions is a hallmark of her neurodivergence. It allows her to adapt, innovate, and see the world in ways others can't. While most people struggle to reconcile opposites, she thrives in the tension between them, proving that complexity isn't something to fear. It's where true brilliance lives. Number 8. Her independence comes from an unconventional brain. A Sigma. Female's independence isn't something she woke up one day and decided to embrace. It's something she had to earn piece by piece in a world that rarely understood her. From a young age, she noticed she didn't think, feel, or process the world the way others did. People often mislabeled her as too much or too different, leaving her with little choice but to rely on herself. Over time, this difference hardened into strength. She realized that waiting for others to understand her, support her, or validate her was a losing game. Her brain, wired to question norms and reject shallow thinking, pushed her to create her own set of rules. This wasn't just about standing apart from the crowd. It was about survival. She learned how to navigate life by building systems that worked for her, no matter how unconventional they seemed to others. Her independence runs deep because it's rooted in necessity. She knows what it feels like to be misunderstood or underestimated, and she never wants to rely on anyone who doesn't fully see her worth. This doesn't mean she's cold or detached. It means she values her energy and autonomy above everything else. She takes pride in solving her own problems and paving her own way, even if it's the harder path. What many don't realize is that this self-reliance is also her greatest freedom. She's not tied to anyone's expectations or approval, and that gives her the space to live authentically. Her independence isn't just a trait, it's the armor she built to thrive in a world that didn't make room for her, and now she's unstoppable because of it. Number 9. She overanalyzes everything. A Sigma female's mind is a relentless machine, constantly working to make sense of the world around her. She doesn't just hear what's being said. She breaks it down, layer by layer, searching for the meaning behind the words. She studies the tone, the pause between sentences, the fleeting expression that crosses someone's face before they can hide it. To her, every interaction is a puzzle waiting to be solved. She doesn't choose to do this. It's simply how her brain works. While others might accept things at face value, she digs deeper, instinctively sensing when something is off. A harmless compliment? She'll analyze the way it was delivered and wonder about the motive behind it. A group decision? She'll silently track the subtle dynamics of power, influence, and unspoken agreements no one else even notices. Her ability to see these hidden patterns is both her strength and her burden. Because of this, she often feels exhausted, not from the world itself, but from the endless stream of information her mind processes. It's not just words. She notices the way someone avoids eye contact, the shift in their energy, the discomfort they thought they masked. It's like seeing the world in high definition while everyone else operates on standard resolution. But here's the truth. This ability isn't a curse, it's a gift. Yes, it's overwhelming at times, but it's what makes her perceptive, intuitive, and nearly impossible to fool. She doesn't just survive in a complex world, she decodes it. Number 10. Her mind refuses to follow social templates. A Sigma. Female's mind doesn't operate within the parameters of social templates. While society encourages people to follow prescribed paths, what to believe, how to behave, and when to conform, her brain rejects these frameworks outright. To her, societal norms are like an outdated operating system, rigid, inefficient, and incapable of meeting the needs of a dynamic, evolving world. She's not content with simply following the rules. Instead, her mind instinctively analyzes, questions, and reprograms the system itself. This refusal to conform often sets her apart. People misinterpret her questioning as rebellion or stubbornness, but it's neither. Her resistance is rooted in logic, observation, and her neurodivergent ability to spot inefficiencies in how the world works. Why continue traditions that no longer serve a purpose? Why adhere to rules that promote inequality or stagnation? Her mind is wired to challenge these questions, and more importantly, to seek better solutions. This approach doesn't always make her popular. Being the person who asks why, in a room full of people who say, because that's how it's done, often isolates her. She's seen as difficult or even threatening, but this doesn't deter her. She understands that progress doesn't come from complacency. It comes from those willing to challenge the status quo. Her ability to rewrite norms isn't just a personal trait, it's a gift. She pushes boundaries, disrupts mediocrity, and creates room for new possibilities. While others stick to templates, she's designing something entirely new, something more authentic, inclusive, and meaningful. And though this path isn't easy, She knows it's the only one worth walking. Her refusal to conform isn't rebellion for its own sake. It's a commitment to building a better, freer world. In a world that thrives on conformity, the Sigma female stands as a testament to the power of individuality. Her neurodivergent mind is not something to be fixed or subdued. It's her strength. From her ability to see patterns where others see noise, to her capacity for intense emotional depth, she navigates life with a unique clarity and resilience. The world might label her as difficult, rebellious, or too much. But these are merely reactions to a woman who refuses to fit into someone else's mold. She doesn't follow the rules, she rewrites them. If you recognize yourself in these traits, know that you're not alone. You're part of a rare and powerful tribe of women who don't just survive, they thrive. Your mind, your intensity, and your refusal to conform are what make you extraordinary. Embrace these qualities because they're what set you apart from the crowd. You're here to carve your own path, to challenge outdated systems, and to live authentically. If you've ever felt misunderstood or out of place, take this as a sign to stop hiding your brilliance. You are not a flaw in the system. You are the disruptor it desperately needs. Join a community of like-minded individuals who understand the beauty of being different. Together, we'll keep pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and creating a world that values authenticity over conformity. Your neurodivergence isn't a burden, it's your superpower. Take care and see you in our next video. God bless Rare Gems.